Welcome back. In this tutorial we are going to cover inclined ortho number 1. Now there is a specific way that I want this done. I'm going to tell you up front, so please pay attention to how I do it because I want you to do it the same way, and there's a specific reason that I'll get to when we get to that point. So let's talk about this shape. How would we describe it, / how many chunks could we tear it into? Well, I would say we could tear it into 4 chunks. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Does this part have symmetry? The answer is no. And which view best describes the shape? Well, I would say that there isn't one particular one, specifically because we have angled faces now. So let's go ahead. We're going to do this material subtraction, and this is how I want you to do yours. So notice that we are still holding our 3 1/4 by 1 3/4 by 1 3/4 overall footprint for our part. So if we pop into Inventor, I'm going to do a sketch on the front, and I'm going to do a center point rectangle, and let's go ahead and go 3.25 by 1.75 and extrude that 1.75. And okay, so now we've got our solid. So as we go back to look at our part, again, I like to get the part looking like it needs to look as early as I can. And so what I mean by that is I want to do the easy things first, because then I'm feeling accomplished and I'm not worried about all the other things that I have to do. So we only have to do 2 things to make this part complete. We have to cut out this shape here, and we have to cut out this shape here. So which is easier? And I would say that this here is, because this is just a triangle and it can be drawn on the end of my part. So let's go ahead back to Inventor, and we're going to put a point down over here, and that comes all the way to the top, so we'll put a point at the top right hand corner as well. Now this point needs to have a dimension off the bottom of 0.5, so we see that right here. So if we pop back into Inventor, all we have to do is draw a triangle, and we're going to make sure that that's completed. All 3 sides. That wasn't very efficient on my part, but gets the job done. And that cut is 1 inch deep, so we're going to go back and extrude this as a cut 1 inch. Okay, so now my part is starting to look like my example. All I have to do is cut this other chunk out here. So if we pop back, let's look at what we know about the profile of this cut. It's kind of a trapezoid. This is 0.5, and then it comes up on some angle that we don't know or don't care about. And the reason why is we were going to use descriptive geometry, and descriptive geometry tells me that if this line starts at the bottom 0.5 in, goes to the top 0.5 in, that's all I need to draw that line. So the bigger question I have is, where do I sketch this shape right here? And the answer is, I don't have anywhere to sketch. I can sketch here, but that's not where I want it. I can sketch over here, but that's not where I want it. Where I want it is somewhere in here, 0.5 specifically from here to here. So how do I get something to sketch on? Well, if you watch the tutorial on work planes, we know that we can click plane, pick a face as a reference, and drag my mouse. I'm holding the left button down, and I'm going to type in 0.5. Now notice my plane went to the opposite side. You should always pay attention when you're making a work plane to see when you drag if the number is negative or positive. So let me do that again. Notice that I have a negative number. If I type in 0.5, it's no big deal. I'm just going to arrow over and put in a negative sign. Now, if I type in 0.5 and hit enter because I'm in a hurry and I realize, oh no, that's going the wrong way, not a big deal. Double click the button next to the plane, negative 0.5, change that value, and it flips to where it needs to be. Now I am going to sketch on my new plane, and I'm going to change my visual style to wireframe for my model. Now I know that I need a point down here and a point up here, and that these two numbers are both 0.5. And so now I can draw a line from here to the corner, from the corner down over to my point, and then from my 2 points. Now this shape right here, as we look at it, is what I want to cut. So we're done. I'm going to finish sketch. I'm going to extrude. I'm going to pick my shape. I'm going to make it a cut. And we notice that it is 1 inch wide. And I'm going to hit OK. Now I'm going to go to shaded with edges again. And that work plane can kind of muddy the waters a little bit, especially if you have a part with a lot of them. So if you pick it in the model tree, just a single click with your left button, right click, turn the visibility off, it's still there, it's just turned off. And so that's helpful to kind of clean up when we have parts with a lot of work planes in them. So again, we started off with a part that looked pretty complicated, but now that we know how to put in a plane, it was actually pretty easy. This is, of the 4 inclines in Inventor, this is the most difficult of the 4. So we're kind of throwing you into the deep end right away. So thanks, and we'll see you in the next tutorial.